Hi, Carrie. What's up? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, thank you. King Rebecca on Instagram. Yeah, but I feel like you've not really broken down what King Rebecca means, though.
Yeah, in Revelations it said that we shall be kings and priests on the earth. So I made sure to
Come on now.
adopt that name.
Come on
So
now.
that
Love
is
it.
why I'm King Rebecca. Rebecca is my baptismal name and my online alias.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I was going to give you a little bit of background, but I just feel like you're already telling us about yourself. So do you just want to go ahead?
Yeah. About me?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I call you Carrie, not Rebecca. Carrie is I'd say she's in the category of the ambitious woman. From the last podcast, I'd say she's also an ambitious woman who's doing very well for herself in her career, and in other aspects of her life. Yeah, let's pick it up from there.
I mean, how are we defining ambitious? Like somebody that's like a go-getter, somebody
The go-getter, I would say. I mean, I feel like most women who are very big on career are kind of go-getters.
When we say very big on career, like, are you saying that their career is their priority? Because I feel like I'm in a category of women where I crave stability and I don't make my career my idol, but I don't neglect it, if that makes sense. Because there are people that, you know, they're like, I want a promotion. I want to move forward, like bend over backwards at my company to make sure I get the favor I need, blah, blah, blah. And there are people that are they're just there judgingly. Like that's kind of how I am. Like I don't make my career my idol, but I still want to make sure that I am secured financially and that I'm where God wants me to be in terms of my career. So I feel like that's where I am.
Yeah, nice one. I also say you're a go-getter in the sense that when you check your Instagram bio, you can tell when a girl is a go-getter by just checking her Instagram bio, but not all the time. Yeah, I see you have like a tech review page where you review tech gadgets, and there should be one other page like that. Is it just that one?
My photography page, yeah.
Exactly. You're also a photographer, coupled with the fact that you're a finance analyst, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's giving go-getter, it's giving career woman, which is lovely. Yeah. So today, let's jump into the conversation. What we want to talk about today is very interesting to me, and I always believe it's going to be an interesting topic to anybody that's going to be watching this. I found that lately I've been trying to understand the concepts of how people get married, how people approach their spouses, whether male or female, and all that stuff. And what I found is that there are two categories of men, as much as I believe there are two categories of women. And I would explain. You know how they say some women are housewives? They become housewives when they get married. While some women are career women. That's like a broad category of it. I feel like if we dig deeper into what these two categories means, we realize that it actually plays out in real life. Some women are just naturally housewives, while some are career women. But but the way I like to classify it is beyond that. I like to categorize it as career women, housewives who are just the baby girls, just be indoor, take care of the family, raise kids, take care of your husband's sexual needs, provide food for the family, take care of the kids, while the man is doing the old hard work outside, And then there's another category of relationship or marriage where both of them start together, are building from the scratch, and are almost splitting everything, either financially or up to house chores. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
There's that category. So, but one more thing I found is that I said there are two types of men, right? So one type of men would be men who want to marry women that will just become their housewives. And there's another category of men who are looking for women that they want to start or rather build with. Do you get what I'm saying? And what differentiates these two men is this one is established, while the other one is just building up, starting up. And I feel like these two dynamics determine the course of a relationship in the long run. Do you agree with that?
You know me, I feel like I have an opinion on everything. I will say it depends. I say it depends because not every man that wants to build has nothing. Not every man that wants somebody to build with come from, or they're broke, or they're not ambitious, or they don't have goals, they don't have plans, they don't have a career. I don't think it's so black and white. I would say a lot of the men that want traditional women, they probably
I don't want us to be lost in the use of
okay.
you know, you're calling them traditional women. So would you say these women who are housewives are just traditional?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
is categorized as a traditional woman. Traditional woman is somebody who's a homemaker, who stays home and, stay at home mother. Yeah, that's a traditional
All right.
woman.
Okay. And what do we call the other category?
I believe they're called modern women. So the modern women are women that work, that, they also contribute to the household financially in other
Wow.
ways.
I mean, that's interesting though, because when you call it traditional and then modern women, does it mean that in the next, say, 50 years, I mean, we expect the traditional women to have gone extinct, then should have more of modern women? Because I feel like this is a
I,
system that's always been in play and would always be in play. And categorizing them as traditional and modern will make it look like the traditional ones are stale and should be out of the scene in next few years.
Well, I would say ideologically, maybe. And I say that because obviously being an American, one thing I loved, studying is world history and American history. And when I study World War II and you see how much women became involved in World War II, because a lot of the men were drafted. So there's nobody to bring in income for the family. There's nobody to work in the mills. There's nobody to work in industry. So a lot of these women, and if you look at propaganda from World War II, you see the woman with the bandana and like they're showing their muscles and stuff. So a lot of women rose up to help the workforce. So I think that was the beginning of the whole, okay, if men can do it, women can do it too. So from the 1940s to, and then when the men came back, 1950s, we kind of go back into that housewife era, but now from the 1960s to the 80s, there's a boom in technology, right? So we're seeing more need for administrative roles. And these are the roles that women filled the most. Administrative roles, executive assistants, filing, all of those menial office jobs. So from the 90s to now, we now see how much women have been an impact in the workforce and how much we are needed. But I think because it kind of throws things off balance. I think obviously I'm a born again Christian, but I do believe in balance. The Bible says a false balance is an abomination to the Lord. And I feel like when women begin to lose their that nurturing side of them, that like, because all women are nurturers, whether you're a manly woman or whether you're a feminine woman, like it's an innate nature in us for us to be nurturers.
Right.
So when we lose that by capitalism, now we have more masculine women. And because there's more masculine women that are willing to do what men have been doing for centuries, now men feel like they don't need to work as much. So now
Okay.
everything shifts.
Interesting, interesting. But let me ask you a direct question now.
Okay.
Would you rather be a woman who is just being taken care of, no stress, your husband doesn't require you to work, just be indoor, spend quality time raising your kids, take care of the home domestic needs, satisfy your husband in every other way, as much as he's taking care of all your needs emotionally, financially, and everything? Would you rather be that kind of woman, or would you be the woman who wants to marry a man who you guys are starting from the scratch? Both of you are working. Both of you are going to buy a house together. Both of you are going to, if you even have to do house chores and you don't want to leave you to do house chores because you're also working, so you will come to assist you in the kitchen and everything. So would you rather be in that category, or just be a baby woman, just baby and taken care of?
No, I maybe just because of how I was raised. My mom is a hard worker, and that's what I saw growing up. And I think that's just that. I guess that kind of go into our diaspora conversation, because when my parents are Nigerian immigrants, And my mom had to become a nurse, and my dad was a taxi driver up until he started his own business. And I watched my mom work those night shifts, and my dad would work during the day, my mom would work at night. And the bills are there. The mortgage is there, car notes are there, water bill, electricity bill. Like, this is not something in America. You literally cannot survive off of one income, especially if you're like just starting off in your career or something. So my mom had to get a good paying job to supplement. I never had saw any woman in my life sit back and just like, I'm not talking, that's the power of feminism, right? Feminism is all about choice. You
Right.
have the choice to stay at home and make babies and take care of the home. I'm not
Right.
built like that. I feel like, when I want to be able to build with my spouse, and I want to know that I have a stake in it. I work in banking, and I look at, people's, when you own a stake in a company, you got 25%, you got 50%, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When I say 50-50, I may not mean like I'm paying some of the bills, he's paying some of the bills, but I have a stake in this home. I have a stake in this relationship. Like, I helped you build this, whether we're bouncing off each other on ideas, on wisdom, finances can be there too.
I get a point, and I'm going to interrupt you. Yeah. So you answered my question by saying you think you are more of the modern woman would, but that's who you think, that's who you are. But what would you prefer if you were given a choice? Would you want to be baby? Don't stress. You're a baby girl. You're gonna be treated like a baby girl. You know what it means? The husband has everything figured out. Have you not seen the Odogu movie?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So what do you think? You didn't like it? I know she was working, but I mean, he was happy to make her resign her job.
I don't know. The thing is, even though she resigned her job, she still had a business.
But get the point now. He was ready to baby her so much that she was not going to stress.
I don't think
But I'm
I
not even
feel
trying to use that
comfortable.
as my template here. I'm just trying to say,
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
given
yeah.
the two options, what would you prefer?
I would prefer to work.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so serious. And the thing is, obviously, like, I don't know if it's just me. I don't feel right just sitting there. And I'm not calling stay-at-home mothers people that just sit there. I feel like if you feel like your calling is to be a homemaker, go and do you. Like, that is the power of
So
choice.
my
I
question to you,
respect. Yeah.
does being the modern woman in your definition, does it make you less of a homemaker?
No, no. I feel like women, we're so good at multitasking, and adding a career to the mix, it just gives us the power to walk in a specific, in another level of grace to be a homemaker. Like, that's how I see it.
I say, okay. All right. You've answered that question. You said you're okay as a career woman who is working, building. But now, don't let us deflect too much. You agree that you're willing to build with a man from the scratch. And by the from scratch, I mean, you guys are willing to say you want to have a stake in whatever he has and whatever is in the family, right? So it means you meet a man who is just graduated from uni. He's also working, but he's also just started working. And then you guys have to start working and saving up together to buy your house. So are you okay with that mix? Or would you rather meet a made man? I think that's a simpler way to put it.
Yeah. I think, that's a good question. And I'm going to mix it because, a lot of my,
diplomatic about this response. Tell me
no,
what
no,
you
no,
think.
just me. Okay, fine. So me personally, I would rather, the thing is, when we say ready-made, right? When we say ready-made man, that means that they don't need any of your input. They don't need my
Yeah.
input.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to be part of
You
that.
said there might be a man watching this right now that will be like,
No, and the
I've
thing
got
is,
a good life for you. Just come into it right now.
no, I'm not saying I would disregard him. I just want to be able, I look at, we both have economics degrees, right?
Right.
Right. We both have financial management degrees. I want, when I'm looking at the legacy, I want to know I'm coming in here and I'm bringing something to the table. Like, I don't want to be useless. I don't want somebody to just use my womb and, like, that's it. Like what can I contribute to this relationship? That's what I'm looking at. I'm not, and it doesn't always have to be finances, you know, in terms of business ideas, in terms of being able to research things, being able to, like, a Proverbs 31 woman is a woman that's resourceful, a woman that's respected among elders, a woman that is wakes up early and gets the best things for her home. Like, it's not just, you know, you use my woman, then yeah, she's
I
my.
get that. Thank you. Let me say something from the men's perspective. A man, have you heard men say, "I'm not ready to get married. I want to have everything in place before I get married"? You hear that from men a lot, don't you? Now, do you know why that is so? It's because there's a form of ego in every man that wants to have the kind of relationship with a woman such that she's so loyal to him that it fits his ego so much. And how does he get that loyalty? Get that loyalty where if he's able to take care of the lady's needs in every sense, such that she doesn't have to stress. And because when the lady's needs is being taken care of, somehow she just becomes very loyal to you. She fits your ego so much. She makes you feel so much like a king. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So every man wants that feeling. So most times, some men want to just wait until they have everything in place so that they can enter into marriage like a king. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Do you get what I'm saying? Now, there's a risk with that. Now, but not every man can wait that long. Not every man, because not every man knows what time he's going to have his big break. You get what I'm saying? You have to get married, you know. But so now, what I'm trying to say now is there's now a category of men that's, and so I try to explain why some men want to wait till they have everything in place before they get married. That's where it's coming from. Every man has that feeling of wanting to take care of a woman, and but it's not going to be the case for every woman. So for every man rather, because some men will not have everything in place by the time they're a certain age ready for marriage. But they're still going to fall in love. They're still going to want to start a family, hoping that the woman they'll mate would grow with them and build with them. Now, there's a risk with that when it comes to migration. And this is where we'll bring in the diaspora topic now. You see, I found that couples that moved from Nigeria to, say, the UK, where I'm at right now, the dynamics of their relationship changed because back in Nigeria, there was this Odogu to princess relationship where they are working, their wives are just in the background. And so coming to the UK or moving to a different country, a Western country, the demands are so much that one person cannot just do the working. Both of you have to work. So it changes the dynamics of the relationship from king to princess to partners. I've found a lot of marriages starting to break in the UK because of the change of these dynamics. Because the woman is feeling like this is not what we used to be. I cannot really adjust to this. I'm going to keep doing the house chores, taking care of the kids, and yet still working. But the man is used to not doing the house chores. He's used to not cooking. So it just changes dynamics and complicates things in that marriage. That's the risk of growing together from the scratch. So it makes me want to wonder what's the best foundation for every relationship, because there's also a risk to starting off as a king and then your wife is prince. The risk of that is that when the dynamics also changes, say the man financially becomes very low, the woman also is uncomfortable with that. She feels like this is not where I used to be, stuff like that. So there's a lot I want to say around that. But what do you think, in your opinion, is the ideal thing? What do you think is the ideal foundation for? Do you think it should be a man should be fully ready to get married, or do you feel like women should be willing to grow with men? You have to build from the scratch, stuff like. What do you think about it?
Well, I would say that one thing my sister always tells me is that marriage is for humble people. You can't be too proud. For humble people, you have to go into marriage with humility, because there's expectations on both sides, and obviously in Nigeria, Africans we're so proud. We're so proud, and I know, like, as a man, that's amplified because of the way we know, like, men provide. And even African Americans here, they're like, I love dating Africans, I love dating Nigerians because their men take care of me, blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, and it's like a lot of these men, that's what they showcase. They showcase that I have a life that I can take care of you, right? Take care of you materially, take care of you every other aspect, but emotionally. They sell women this dream that I can take care of you. And because both, I would say both men and women have become very, very shallow. Because women are now shallow, they're looking at this like, oh, he can take care of me. You know, that's beautiful. I ask somebody to pay my rent, ask somebody to pay for my nails, ask somebody to pay for things I want. I go on vacation. And, so I think on both sides, false dreams are being sold. And I think that's why I believe marriage has now evolved into partnership, because life happens. I live in the Washington DC metro area. And people, over 100,000 government employees have lost their jobs. How many dynamic, and mind you, to work in the federal government is like highly regarded, very, very secure job. Like these people have been in their positions for almost over 30 years. Some people have been in their positions. It's very secure, to secure opportunity to work for the United States government, and that's just ended, right? So how many dynamics, how many marriages? Oh, I married this man. I met him in 1990, and he started working for the federal government. We got married, and he's been, you know, he's building his pension, he's building his retirement fund, and all of a sudden everything is gone, right? At that point, that marriage can't be based off of what you can get. It's about, now you have to go back to foundation. Do I really love this person? Right. So to be honest, and I don't know if it's just because of the way I believe that God has rewired my brain. Like I thank God for material things, and I'm not saying that a man shouldn't have these things, especially as a man. It should be your MO to make sure that you're in a certain space where you can provide not only for yourself but for your future family. But like you really need to look at this relationship like, does this woman really want me because of what I can give them, or because they actually love me? Because let's be honest, like stuff will happen. Like you may not get that job. You may be the, you know, last person to be interviewed, and then they give it to somebody else, and you promised somebody that, you know, this is my big break. You know, at the end of the day, if you have nothing, will this woman still like you? Will this woman still care about you? Will this woman still be willing to build?
I'll throw a direct question at you. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to throw a direct question at you. Are you up for 50-50 in marriage?
No, I don't believe in 50-50.
You don't believe in 50-50?
Like I said, man should strive to be able to take care of himself. Right?
Take care of himself.
Right, take care of himself. So there's nothing like if a man is already living on his own, taking care of all his bills by himself, what am I? I'm not coming to change that dynamic, because I'm coming into what has already been built. And this is not.
But don't forget that it's taking care of himself doesn't necessarily mean he has the capacity to take care of one more person. But I believe you're assuming that he has the capacity to take care of one more person.
So so then he shouldn't be looking for a relationship.
But that's why I said the category of men who wants to marry somebody that can build with them comes in. That's where it comes in, because these people at the end of the day.
What do we say when you say build with? What does that mean? I just want to hear. I know what I think, but what are you saying? Because maybe there's like a disconnect somewhere.
So when I say build with, when a man wants to build together, what I simply mean is the man has his own income, is able to take care of himself, but when they come together as a couple, merging their income, they can do a lot more with it. For instance, if he's living in a smaller apartment and he gets married to his wife, when they merge their income, they could get a bigger apartment just by splitting bills. So he could still maintain the amount of money he was paying on his small apartment while you get what I'm trying to say. So let's say, for example, his rent is say $1,000 or pounds a month, and then the other person, the lady lives on her own as well elsewhere, and she pays a certain amount of rent. So they come to live together. Now, instead of paying, they could get an apartment for $1,500 per month. I'm just giving an example. Yes, that $1,500 apartment is a bigger space compared to, just because they decided to merge their income. So that's them building together. That's them merging. That's what 50-50, I believe, is all about. On the other end, the man is taking care of all the bills, don't pay rent, he pays the rent, takes care of everything, just be home, just take care of himself. You get what I'm saying? So that's the difference I'm saying now. And so when I asked you, do you believe in 50-50? I believe that that's almost synonymous to asking, do you believe in building together?
The thing is, when I hear 50-50, especially a lot of the relationship conversations that goes on here in the West, it's always talking about finances. I guess it's nothing like, if I'm staying in my mother's house until I get married, I don't pay rent or anything. I pay, like, the little bills here and there.
Mhm.
You know, I don't moving, and this is why you have to marry somebody that has that. How do I say this? Because just because you are two now, just because you are now two doesn't mean you have to move into somewhere bigger. You can manage what you have, save money. Like, it
But you know how
depends
the
on
Bible says
where.
two are better than one. So how does that apply in the
Yeah,
context
no,
of marriage if you both of you are not building together?
right. But the thing is, building what? Building to rent another a more expensive apartment, or building something that's actually more tangible? Like, were we saving up for properties? Are we investing in
That's what I'm talking
vehicles? Are
about.
we?
Yeah. So don't get it twisted. I categorize into two. And I said there's a kind of couple that when the man gets married, the man has everything in place. He has a house, he has everything. He just coming in to take care of his emotional, physical needs. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
There's the other category where both of you you're still building your careers individually together, but then you decide you're in love, you want to get married, and then you have to, because you have to get married, you have to rent an apartment together. And in that situation, you have to split the bills, knowing the kind of income that each of you have. That's a different
Mhm.
dynamics, married dynamics now. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's the fifth. That's what I mean by.
Mhm. So
So when I asked
is
you earlier, I
not
said, do you rather go for 50-50, or you want a man that is made?
no, you said would you rather build with somebody, or would
Same
you
thing
rather
as
enter into
50. That's
something
what I
ready
meant. I
made?
just explained the context.
Okay, well, in this context, I mean, I don't want to make it seem like it's all material things.
Let me let you know that.
The
Let me know
reason,
that whatever you choose, there's no bad option. It all depends on
yeah.
your preference. There are two categories, and none of these two categories are bad in itself. It just depends on what works for you. What do you want as a woman? What do you want?
Um, the thing is,
That clear is for them.
the only reason why I don't, and I already explained this earlier, like, I want to be able to feel like I'm actually building something. Like, I don't
Okay.
want to come into something ready made and not have my handiwork in it, or not have my ideas be able to help somebody. But the reason why I tread lightly on this 50-50 conversation is because I feel like men use this 50-50 conversation as an excuse to not be the best version of themselves.
What does that mean?
Okay, I'll explain. So, okay, this man that is ready made, has everything. He's obviously spent years accumulating, his career, finances, obviously buying a home. And he's kind of done that groundwork by himself, right?
Yeah.
I don't like I don't like 50-50 conversations, because when a man finds somebody that's willing to do 50-50, they're not putting in 100% effort into being the best of themselves. At the end of the day, the way I look at men is like, soon you'll be the head of your home, the head
Mhm.
of a lineage,
Mhm.
prodigy. This is something that I feel like a man should go into this knowing that I don't necessarily need something from my wife, but if she wants to help me, I will let her help me, because I'm not a proud man, right? Like, my wife is my helpmeet. Like, she's supposed to help me, right? Fulfill this legacy or whatever. That's kind of how I see it. I don't want men to look at, okay, well, I find somebody doing 50-50, so I'm just going to sit back and we'll just do this. Like, I understand my idea of 50-50 is different than what the people say 50-50 is. It's not just like financially. I want us to be able to have a stake in this together. Like, we're butting heads together. We're planning together. We're building together. Paying rent to somebody else is not building.
I
Paying the
mean,
electricity
I just
bill.
use that as an example.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's what people think 50-50 is. You
Yeah.
know, you get the light bill, I pay the Netflix. That's what 50-50, that's
So what
how people
about
think 50.
you get a mortgage and then both of you are splitting the mortgage payment? Is
I
that
don't want to
50-50?
pay mortgage. My husband should be able to pay the mortgage or the rent.
Okay. Now you're
Yeah.
becoming clearer. I understand your standpoint now. So I believe that to get to you have to find a man who is capable enough to take care of some certain bills that you don't want to be involved in. Do you get what I'm saying? These are the things you look out for. And that kind of puts you in that other category. Maybe not entirely, but puts in that other category of the Odogu to princess relationship, where the man is really now. And I understand that a man has to be the head of the home, and that's very, very valid. Um, I'm just trying to see the two dynamics and see how it's really playing out in a lot of marriages today, especially in diaspora and all that. This is a conversation around 50-50. Is 50-50 really, really something to go by? Should women just wait for their man, just wait for your man and the right man for you? Make sure the man is set and ready to take care of all the things you want to take care of, you don't want to be involved with. Or time is running out, so go with a man that you can just start splitting bills together up to a point where the man cannot start catering for everything on his own, and everything. So that's why I asked you. Now that it's clearer, as a way to conclude this conversation, because apparently we've been playing around on the same thing. What's your opinion? What do you what's your opinion about? There are relationships that are thriving so well, such that both of them started very low. They're splitting bills initially, but it grew to a point where the man became very capable and started taking care of everything, and they were all happy.
Yeah. That's something that that's where, when I say 50-50, I don't want it to be 50-50 forever. If somebody is when I find my person and the person isn't necessarily where he wants to be, not where I expect him to be, but he knows that this is not my end, then I am willing to be part of that. That's the stake I'm talking about. Like, that is
let's talk about ego. Let's talk about men's ego.
Okay.
Personally, if you ask me, all this question I've asked you, I want to marry like a king. I want to have things in place and just bring my woman into it and take care of the other things. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a certain stage in my life where I knew I wanted to really be in love. I really wanted to be in a relationship. But I knew that if I got married at that stage, I won't be married like a king the way I wanted to. So the best I could achieve at that point was just somebody who just want to be a partner, let's split the bills together, stuff like that. But the risk with that is I realize that men who cheat come from foundations where there's a 50-50 background. So what I've observed though, and that's because when you have that 50-50 arrangement with your partner, women, there's a form of ego you want to get from a woman you will not get, because both of you are splitting the bill, so she sees you as equal to her. She's not going to give you that level of respect you want. And because a man will always have that need to be respected, if he's not getting it from his wife because she sees him as equal, he's going to look for a younger girl or a girl who he can just keep splunging on, and that will give him that loyalty, give him that respect outside of his marriage. I feel like that's how a lot of men get to cheat. Because sometimes it's not always sexual needs, sometimes it's ego needs or it's emotional needs that make men go out to cheat. Because they're like, yeah, that's why some women complain and say, we've been building together, we built together, and see what you did. You know what I'm saying? But then it's because she's not able to give you the amount of respect that you would get if you were the one catering for a lot of things in the house. Just by default. It's not because she's a wicked person or a bad person. She just can't give you that level of loyalty or respect. And somehow, because you still demand that respect, you want to look for how you can get it elsewhere, outside of the marriage. So personally, that's my opinion. I believe I want to get into marriage as a king. I want to have all these things in place. However, a woman who wants to build with a man, and you can tell that in the long run, this woman, as she understands where you're at, she's still going to respect you and through it all. And when you get everything in place, you will still, you can still take back your place of being the king in a relationship and spending a woman. I'll still go for such a woman. But let's just round up this conversation. It's getting tiring and boring. Do you agree?
That's you.
So as a way to round up this conversation, I would say personally 50-50 is not necessarily ideal. And because every man wants to get that respect from his woman. However,
not every man though. Not every man cares about that respect.
Everyone wants to be respected.
And we didn't really go into the diaspora shift.
Tell me about it.
No, because I live in an area that's very heavily populated with Africans, right?
Uh-huh.
A lot of what happens in diaspora is that men will come And it's not all of the men. Some of the men who come here, they get a degree, they start working like really, really stable jobs. But a lot of the ones that don't come here for necessarily education, or maybe they're doing business or something, a lot of them will come, and because of the job opportunity, they'll get like menial jobs. A lot of them become taxi drivers because my father was actually a taxi driver for 25 years. And now the wife comes. The wife is now going to nursing school, working, going to school. They go to school. They're also doing menial jobs. So the women end up being the breadwinner because the man is not, they're comfortable. They get very, very comfortable. My mom single-handedly built the houses that we have in the village. My dad did not contribute anything. You know, it was my mother's income that did that, right? Not my father's. So a lot of the men get complacent. They get comfortable when they get here because they're like, okay, well, I have a wife now that's making money. And mind you, these nurses they're doing overtime. They're making a lot of money. Like, they're making a lot, and then they stack 2, 3 jobs. So I know we have to end the conversation, but the work dynamic is what shifts everything about marriage here. And if you don't have the morals to stick by your woman while she's holding you down, and you want to step out of your marriage and feel like, okay, I want to go somebody younger. Every marriage I've seen that dynamic happen to, it never ever ended well for that man. And the women are just out there, they're flourishing. So
I see that. I see that. Interesting. Anyways, as we surround this conversation, I believe that everybody out there should first of all know what works for them. Men should be very true to
yeah,
themselves. If you're not ready to give that woman that baby girl lifestyle, then look out for a woman who is ready to be with you and who you would eventually treat, give the baby girl lifestyle when everything falls in place for you. And then if you don't get that kind of woman, then wait and build yourself to be the right man for that woman so that you can enter into marriage as a king. It's been an interesting conversation. Do you want to give us final words?
yeah, I feel like when you find your person, no matter what stage of life you're in, the person will take you as you are. And I don't think a lot of this stuff is just for conversation. Like, real life is different. I'm telling you, real life is outside of these conversations. Real life is different. Like, when you find somebody, no matter what stage of life you're in, you're willing to deal with that person, but don't use that to be complacent. Don't use that as a crutch. Go out and become the best version of yourself, especially as a man, especially as a black man. Go out and be the best version of yourself so you can build a legacy that will remember you for good.
Thank you. Thanks for your wise words.